My coworker stole from our job and got me fired. Years later I got my revenge. So I worked for Company A for almost a decade that had a small team consisting of 10 people, doing commissioned work for businesses in my city. The owner treated us like family, knowing that we worked long and hard days, sometimes up to 60 hours in a week. He paid us better than expected, bonuses and perks he negotiated with businesses that commissioned our work, even gave the whole company a week off paid when his son was getting married so we could attend it. We had our squabbles like any other family, and things weren't always bright and perfect, but this is to show how a nice owner treated his employees. And didn't screw me over. After working there for years, the manager position came open. Since by then I was one of the most senior workers with Company A, so I thought I would apply, which had a few others interested to do as well. I didn't get the position, mainly because, despite my experience at Company A, I didn't have a business administration degree. Someone who worked for owner did, so he got it. Realizing the education I would have to get, and the demand of this job, I thought long and hard and concluded that, if I wanted to go anywhere in life, I would have to get that degree. Coming right out of high school to work for Company A was great, but if I wanted to do something more I would have to go to university. I talked to the owner and gave him 2 weeks' notice. When I explained what I wanted to do and why, he understood that I was trying to make something of myself. This all becomes relevant later, I promise. Going to university, I found that I had tuition covered through government grants but not things like food, rent, etc. So I looked around and eventually found work at Company B. Company B was a retail store, with a bigger staff than I had been used to, somewhere around 50 employees, but had such a huge employee turnaround that it was scary at times. They dealt with a wide range of goods from groceries to very expensive items. They had a certain niche clientele that they could order items for and catered to. I ended up working part-time in their warehouse and answered to the warehouse supervisor, who answered to the manager. There were other supervisors for other parts of the store, but for this only the sales supervisor is relevant. Skip forward 7 years. In that time I got my BA degree and worked at Company B the whole time, going from part-time to full, and eventually applied for the warehouse supervisor position. I was interviewed, got the job, and was supervisor for months when the manager and I hired Kay as a warehouse clerk. Kay isn't the one to get the revenge, but she played a crucial part in the revenge. Then Allie gets hired. Allie started out as a cashier, working quickly up the chain and brown-nosing as many coworkers as possible, including the manager. When a sales rep went on maternity leave, Allie quickly jumped at the chance to work in sales and ended up permanently being a part of that team, then the sales supervisor soon after. Me and Allie got along like oil and water. We butted heads over things constantly. She would tell the manager all the small things that I did, but called me a snitch when I reported the issues she was causing. She would badmouth me and my warehouse staff, talk over me at meetings and try to take credit for my ideas. She openly told coworkers that I was the cause of many issues and couldn't wait for me to leave. Oh, and she was never at fault. It would be the customer's fault, my fault, the delivery driver's fault, another coworker's fault, etc. There were times when we got together well, but far and few between. I get fired. So one day, a very, and I mean very, expensive ring set, ordered by one of our customers, comes in. Years ago I set up a procedure for any type of jewelry so that it will not get lost or stolen. The last step is, once we have done everything with it in the warehouse, we take it to the office and have someone put it in the safe immediately. This particular time, I was the one who received the ring, so, once going through the procedure, told Kay that I was taking it to the office. The only one available who had the combination to the safe was Allie. I asked her if she could open the safe. She looked at me, looked at the jewelry box in my head, then said, "Put it down here on my desk, I'll put it away once I'm done this email." Keep in mind that me and Allie had had a serious spat over something earlier that day, and I generally didn't feel like being close to her if I could help it. So I never saw her put it in the safe myself. The next day, I got a call from the manager to come to the office. I head there to find the manager, Allie, and the HR consultant they pull in when some real shit hits the fan. Manager tells me that the ring set has disappeared. I told them the procedure I followed and last I saw them was with Allie. Manager tells me that Allie checked the box and said it was empty. Manager then pulls the box out. Sure enough, the box the rings were in was indeed empty. I swear to manager that the rings were inside when I checked them before giving them to Allie. At this point, it's my word against hers. By stroke of bad luck, the in-store video recorder had broken down days before the incident, so there was no way to verify what happened. We all know someone has to take the blame for this, and that's when Allie strikes, saying that it was my fault, since it was last seen in my hands. Manager asks if this is true, then I realize that, yes, I was indeed the last person to touch the thing, and I never actually saw Allie pick up the box. Allie gives me the look of that screamed gotcha. Manager and the HR consultant ask us both to leave. After what seemed like forever, I got called in. Manager tells me that, since I was responsible for the rings at the time and now are lost, they would be firing me. But, since they had no proof as to whether I stole the rings or not, they wouldn't press charges. I went back to the warehouse, told Kay and the other warehouse clerks just what happened, grabbed my personal belongings and left that day. After a couple weeks of trying to get my head around what happened and weighing my options, I decide my first priority is to try to get some sort of job, and consider it lucky if I get a job flipping burgers with a bad rep when they ask Company B. I call the owner of Company A to get a good reference from them and explain what happened and why I was calling, only to get the shock of a lifetime. The manager position was about to be open. The guy who I lost the position to was retiring soon, due to complicated health reasons. Owner had kept tabs on me while at university and understood when I didn't immediately come back to him, but with a golden opportunity like this, he wanted me back and I wasn't going to say no. I dive into my new job I originally wanted with an owner I enjoyed working for. I thought, then and there, everything would be behind me, not knowing it would come back, Not to bite me, but to pay dividends.